What's that?
It's a mouth spray, it's a refresher.
Okay.
Try some?
So as I'm speaking into his face, he's not going.
Have you seen
Do that again. Do that again. I like it.
Have you seen that advert? It's about a mouthwash, right? This guy's talking to this woman behind a glass. A glass shutter. No, and he talks to her like that. She goes. Have you seen that? And it was so funny. And then there's the guy that kisses his wife in the morning, right? And he went like that. He went. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, I like that one. That is funny. That is so funny.
You know, laughter, it's a lubricant of the soul, and the more we laugh, the happier we are. The more, I think, the more results we get out of life. I mean, would you say that's true for yourself?
Listen, if you this man, okay, I remember this clearly. He was in his hospital bed, okay, recovering. We haven't mentioned that yet, okay. But I want to mention this part. There's a couple of things I want to mention. I remember being in the hospital with him in his recovery bed, and we were the nurses had to tell us to come in to just keep the noise down because we were laughing so much in the hospital bed. It's a known fact that laughter is a cure for anything. Laughter is a medicine, and if you can't laugh your way through a situation, then you've got some serious issues you need to deal with. I remember actually going in the car again on one of our journeys, and we've literally sat in the car for 3 hours laughing to a point where it's actually hurting your belly. Yeah, and remember we were on the motorway doing 70, 80, kind of 90 kind of miles per hour.
You were doing 70.
70, sorry. Just in case there's any officers of the law.
You were doing 70.
We were doing 70.
Yeah.
But literally sitting in the car, and we're driving down the motorway, and can you remember we'll be sitting in traffic, and we'll be sitting there, and we'll be absolutely in stitches, you know, in fits of laughter, and the people are looking at. You can see the people looking at us. We're sitting in traffic. You're not supposed to be laughing. You're supposed to be miserable like the other so and so's that are out there.
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to actually, you know, enjoy life. Listen, we get given an opportunity to live on this earth every single day. Every single day we wake up in the morning. We should be grateful for the opportunity that we've been given. The reality is most people don't, and I want to know why, because every time I get up in the morning I'm grateful, and the first thing that comes on my face is a smile. Yeah, because I'm happy to be alive. Why go through life knowing being miserable? What's that all about? Why do people, you know, this rubbish that they talk about, they get up in the morning and they go, oh, I don't like Mondays. You know, me and him are laughing on a Monday morning, we're laughing on a Tuesday morning, we're laughing on a Wednesday morning, we're laughing on a Thursday morning, because laughter is the key to life. Laughter, it cures everything. It's known in America, okay, there's a place in America, I forget the actual place, but it's called laughter therapy. And it actually cures cancer. And I'm telling you, I know for a fact that his recovery, which has a lot of that has been down to the laughter side as well, because he's not taking it serious. What was it the doctor said to you?
He actually said to me one day something along the lines of, I have to respect you because the way that your views on life and the person that you are has actually brought you to the point where I can't explain the quickness of your recovery or the speediness of your recovery.
Tell me, what's happened to you? Tell me about your condition.
Okay, well, in 2008 I was diagnosed with cancer of the coccyx, which was a shock to me. Never had cancer in the family. Never knew anything about it. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock for me. I decided that I would go for some extra help, and when I did, they said to me that it is an coccyx and it can inflate and it doesn't look good. So I thought, okay. So I said to him, okay, now I know that. What do we do? And he said to me, okay, well, what we need to do is set this course of treatment. They set that off, and into a year and about 9 months, 10 months into that treatment, I was then admitted into hospital. Had pneumonia, which I thought was as a result of the cancer. But then 2 weeks later, they diagnosed me with having what they call pulmonary fibrosis, which is basically a condition of the lungs, which breaks down and is scarring of the lungs, which basically means that everybody's tubes that go into the lungs like that are usually like that. Mine were like that. So it was restricting oxygen and blood into the lungs, which basically meant that I was sweating and I was in a bad way. He didn't tell me at the time, but sometime later on in my recovery, he was so worried about the fact that those things were involved, he actually gave me 3 months to live. So, but, you know, that didn't happen. Because
a doctor gives you a diagnosis,
yeah,
but God gives you a prognosis.
Indeed he does. Indeed he does. And that was my story, because somewhere down the road, very quickly, the cancer went into remission, but then I was in hospital with the pulmonary fibrosis, and I was attached to an oxygen tank 24/7, even at night. Even when I was released from hospital 3.5 months later, I was still on oxygen at home 24/7 and 24/7 when I went out, and I had a oxygen tank on the back. So I went through it. But, you know, as they said, you know, I had great friends around me. We laughed. While I was in hospital, I was never like a patient. I always got up in the morning. I always had a shower. Always put my own clothes on. And I stepped out of bed, and I would, even though I couldn't go anywhere, I would go out into the grounds, and I would sit on the bench, and I would walk around and talk to the other patients.
Tell them about what the nurses used to do for you as well. I couldn't believe this.
Oh, the nurses used to do so many things for me. They used to get me stuff. They used to. I mean, there was a van driver. One of the guys. He used to drive the ambulances, and because he knew I didn't like the food, yeah. He used to take me out to Greg's, and I used to get cakes and pasties, you name it. And some of the women would actually bring me, and they would actually go and cook cornmeal porridge and bring it in for me. They would all the good stuff, because they knew that I didn't like hospital food. And I think the only reason why that happened was because of the relationship that I built up with the people in the hospital. Because I didn't see myself as a victim. I saw myself as getting out of that hospital bed, getting out and being well again, because I wasn't accepting my sickness. And once I got over the cancer, I knew I could get over the other one. You know, and we're 3 years down the road. As you can see, I've not got any oxygen. I'm still on the medication. I've still got a long way to go. There was at one point they actually thought I needed a transplant as well. That is now been put back as well, because I'm too well to have that. So, you know, it all depends on how you think.
So mentality.
Yeah, and who you have around you as well.
That's because.
Don't interrupt me.
I'm sorry.
Because you don't know, you don't really know until you know, and then when you do know, you know what you have to do. And when you've got the right people in the world and in your life, it just becomes a lot easier to deal with, you know. And success is just around the corner.
You know, it's interesting what you said about not having the wrong people, about having the right people around you, because that for me is one of the most important things, as well as the laughter. You've got to have the right people around you, because this guy was in a situation whereby it was life or death. Now, the way I say we, because it was a case of we went through this whole process. I was there with him all the time, not 24/7. But it was a case of the alignment thing again, with the mentality, the alignment. You cannot allow people to speak doubt, fear, lack, negative, all that kind of rubbish into your life. Because if you allow that, you're going to become it. And we don't want to become those type of people. Why should we? Again, we were given a day to live on this earth. I want to fill my day up with stuff that's going to help me to move forward in life. Now, he was in a situation where he's in a life or death situation. Why would you want people around you that are going to talk negative? Oh, how are you? Oh, how do you feel? How bad is it? And all that kind of nonsense. No, we didn't even think about that. We just thought about, you know what? You're getting out of this bed. Okay, what do we have to do to get out of this bed? We already knew how we're going to beat this thing. Yeah, I'm saying it because we're in alignment. You know?
I'm going to just say something now, which I think is very important, because it said something to me, not just about who I was, but about, you know, how this very thing that we're talking about makes a difference. In the time that I was in hospital and the time I came out, I made friends with people who were either had the same condition or thereabouts, or had very similar conditions to what I did. And I came into the hospital with a lot of them being the worst, you know, and then eventually they got worse. And I can count 15 people. It's actually the actual correct number now is 17 people that I knew while I was in hospital who are no longer with us. So for me, that just set me up to know that it wasn't just the fact that, yes, Jeff felt well and Jeff did this and Jeff had this right attitude. It taught me about how collectively, how you view yourself, how you view your condition and what you were prepared to do and how your mind was. Then, you know, some people could say, yeah, it wasn't your time, Jeff. Yeah, maybe it wasn't. But I do believe that there's a lot of people that, while I was there, were talking negative about this, who were always in hospital, who all stayed in the bed, who complained about the things that people were trying to do for them that they couldn't do, or that they could do rather, but they didn't accept. And because they didn't accept it and they had the wrong attitude, they're no longer here. Now, so maybe I'm being controversial here, but I think it is a very controversial point. It does show that there's something about the mind that works for you, and then it can work against you. And if you're working in the area of working for you, you've got a better chance of achieving, of overcoming whatever it might be.
It's like the expression, life becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you continually talk, especially you're in a hospital bed and you want to recover, or some people don't. Some people just accept that as it is. Or in life as well, some people want to be successful, or others just accept where they are. But then it's who you allow to speak into your life, and what you allow them to speak into your life. Because as it says, your mouth is either going to speak life into someone, or it's going to speak death into somebody. And this situation was, he had to recover because we've got stuff that we need to do, and that wasn't going to be the end of the story. That was the beginning of the story, or that was just part of the process. And we weren't going to allow no doubt or no lack to come into that situation, because that wasn't part of the equation. The equation was, hang on a minute, we've got things that we need to do, we've got things that we plan to do. It ain't stopping here. How are we going to get out of this situation? We're going to speak life into this situation, and we're going to step up. We're going to walk out and go to where we've been called to go. So whatever it is people are facing out there, you don't have to accept it. You only accept it if that's your final outcome. Then the final outcome isn't determined by us, it's determined by our Creator, and it's determined by our own self-beliefs. And me, myself, as I said to you earlier, when I was younger, I was filled with doubt. I was filled with negative, I was filled with this lack of confidence thing, and I knew that in order for me to change, okay, I had to realign myself with a greater mindset, a greater knowledge that's going to be poured into me. And I weren't going to do it hanging around with the people that were around me at the time, because they were the people that put me there in the first place, you know, because they weren't pulling me out that hole.
And then you got blessed.
And then I got blessed with my brother Jeff, yeah, and we got blessed with each other.
Well, you know, I think everything is a journey, and, you know, if I offer anybody out there any kind of real hope for their future, no matter what you're going through. If it's to be, it's going to be up to you. You know, the saying is, if it's to be, if it's going to be, it's up to me. It's up to you. Yeah, you can decide whether or not you're going to be blessed, or whether you're going to be fortunate, or whether you're going to get through this or not, or you can think the other way. And you know, it's your choice. And sometimes, you know, we want the choices in life, and then sometimes we don't, because we realise that the choices that we're given
You've got to
entail.
Yeah.
And sometimes it means that we have to make those choices, and then when we do make those choices, we can't follow them through because we realise that it's harder than we thought. Well, sometimes things do take work, unfortunately. And work is maybe a 4-letter word, but it's not a swear word. It's a good word. So work at it, work very hard if that's what you want, and you'll surprise yourself. And then you'll have a lot of people who will then be running after you, trying to grab hold of your shirt tail, just get a little bit about what you've got. And then you can look at yourself and feel proud. So go out there and do what you need to do, just because you need to do it for you and yours. Love you.
I mean, I agree with what Jeff said. You didn't have to be so final, mate.
No, you carry on.
No, I mean, you got to have a grasp of life, and you've got to have that meaning, that meaning in life. You've got to know what it is you want, and you've got to know what it is where you want to go. And along the way, you've got to be prepared to make the changes in order to help you get to where you want to be. Along the way, you've got to be prepared to make sacrifices, because people aren't prepared to make sacrifices. We want it now, and it ain't going to come now. It's a case of, well, you've got to, the sacrifices, small sacrifice, big reward. You've got to make sacrifices. You've got to give up some of the things that you actually want in order to get to where you want to get to. And if you're not prepared to do that, you won't achieve what you want to achieve. It's as simple as that. Now, myself and Jeff, we're not there yet, but we've made lots of sacrifices along the way. We've done things that we didn't want to do because we knew that we had to do it to get there. We've done all of that, but it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You've got to be prepared to stick it out, and you've got to be prepared to fight for what you want. If you really want that thing, you've got to, Les Brown said, you've got to work day and night for it. You've got to give up what you want for it. You've got to fret for it, sweat for it. I'm not going to go into the whole Les Brown thing because that's your words. Those ain't mine. But the reality is that you've got to fight for what you want, and if you believe in it. You can do it if you decide to do it. You can do it if you really, really want it, and the world's your oyster.
Thank you, Des and Jeff. It's in your story.